Hello there. Welcome back to the Senate podcast. As you can see, this is a special episode. I'm joined by some, what do they call it? The Jubies? I'm joined by some friends here, but this is our first live episode. We're cooking up something in the studio right now. And this podcast is experimental. Our last few episodes include a crossover episode with the guys from the Joyce Chick Show, bonus special May the 4th episode just talking about Star Wars. We're doing retrospectives for Star Wars movies and other movies. We've done a lot of fun stuff with games, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about games today too, along with a true masterpiece, a true cinematic experience. And my question is, what's the first comic book movie that made you say, this is cinema? So I'm joined by the man himself, Tony Quinn. How do you feel about a live episode?
A live episode? I don't it seems fun, different atmosphere. I kind of feel like we're doing like a sketch comedy type thing.
Because of the set, it feels like a sketch. I wanted to have a minimalist set, just something where it's just like, okay, we're kicking back talking. And I think this is pretty good. It does feel like a sketch, but hopefully it's like just good quality. It's not some YouTube sketch that's not good. So we're gonna still try to keep it like a normal The Senate podcast. So I want to open up with that question, and we want to talk about some movies. I want to talk about the MCU and why Guardians 3 does not even deserve to be considered in the MCU, and other comic book movies too. Because this is a pop culture podcast and nostalgic podcast, so I do want to talk a little bit about that in games. So, what is the first comic book movie that made you say this is cinema?
Well, it's kind of a two-pronged answer for me, and I hate, like that's such a cliche with me. Like I can never just give straight answers, but I'd say in terms of like spectacle, it was. I mean, it's a popular answer, but the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, because like as a kid, I really loved the Batman movies. But I like the X-Men movies, but I didn't relate to those characters. I was young; they were adult. I can't relate to a billionaire who lost his parents, who uses his gadgets to fight crime. I can't relate to Bruce Banner being struck by radiation and turning into a monster. I can't relate to this lady who can't touch people because
I'm gonna make
her
you really
powers
mad in a second.
drain their power. I can't relate to Wolverine. But when I went to the movie theaters with my dad in
This is
2001
about to get brutal.
to see the first Spider-Man movie, I was like, I'm a kid in school who gets picked on and doesn't feel like he fits in. This character is a nerd in school who doesn't feel like he fits in and gets picked on. Oh my God, like that blew my mind. But I didn't obviously watch movies in an in-depth way as a kid, so I'd say the first one that I saw once I understood cinema and stuff, that I was like, this is cinema, I'd say probably...
See, that's how I'm gonna frame it too, because
I'd say maybe, until I think of a better one, maybe the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a really good answer.
Because that was the one, like the other ones up to that point, I really liked them, but I didn't like emotionally resonate like with Tony Stark's story and Steve Rogers' story, Thor's story. They didn't move me, but like seeing that movie and seeing like because my mom actually had cancer like years ago. She went through treatment and stuff, so I spent a lot of my time being afraid that my mom was gonna die, and then watching this movie and seeing Star-Lord have that exact same backstory. Like as soon as the movie started and that's what it was, I was like, oh, this is about to be different. This is about to be different. And like that was the first MCU movie that stuck with me as not just like a fun experience, but like something with heart and something that I could relate to, and that so these movies have always been special to me ever since the beginning.
Yeah, and I like how you said this is the first one since I've really, I was really able to understand cinema because I feel the same way about the Spider-Man movies and some other ones, but my answer is, a film that came out around the same time as Guardians, but it wasn't from Marvel, and my answer is Batman v Superman.
Understandable.
Here's why. I completely get what you're saying about, what you did say about, like, Batman and whatnot, and that's why Batman v Superman really resonated with me as being, like, cinema because Zack Snyder was able to really break these characters down. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people hated what he did with Superman. A lot of people hated what he did with Batman, and granted, for a cinematic universe, I agree with you. For a trilogy that he wanted to establish with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and then Justice League, the way that he shot these movies, it was cinema. The way that he had symbolism
I
was
do really
cinema.
like Batman v
Yeah,
Superman, but I didn't like it until I saw the Ultimate Cut because
me too. Yeah,
it's the full vision. But I mean, yeah, like the filmmaking on display is stupid. Zack
it's
Snyder's
insane.
not from this planet,
It's insane.
just like Super.
I loved how he was able to take an alien and make him more human than any of us, and take a human that is, Batman, and make him a brutal monster, and then at the end, somehow bring them both back to Earth, ground them both, tie it in. I mean, I could go off on that movie. I think I've watched that movie more than any other movie in my life, maybe aside from Revenge of the Sith, because with Batman v Superman, every time you watch it, you can find something different in it. Like with, and I know Guardians Volume 3 is gonna be another movie like that, where each viewing, you notice something different. I saw it 2 times. The second time, I noticed a lot I didn't notice the first time, and that's cinema when it has all of this, symbolism, all of this, nuance and, the details that it's not just a blockbuster that's fun with action. It has a deep story, all of that. True art. I like that. That's a good answer.
Yeah, I'll say I didn't like Superman until I saw Man of Steel
Man of Steel did a lot for that.
because
Yeah,
it was the same thing with like seeing Spider Man as a kid. I'm like, oh no, Superman is just like me. He's a dude who isn't sure of his place in the world. Oh wow, like that revolutionized because I always saw him how a lot of people do. It's just like this really strong, invincible dude, and I'm like, I mean, he's cool, I guess, but I don't. And then I saw Man of Steel, and I was like, oh, oh, okay, I like this.
these movies are all fantastic, and we didn't do a super deep dive into Guardians 3 because we just saw it in theater, so we're going off memory, but we talked about, characters, the themes. We brought it back to this question to bring up other comic book movies and relate it back to pop culture and nostalgia. I think it's a great answer. So thank you, Tony, for coming on and all of this. I had that important question for you, but we have a team here. I have another person I want to introduce to the podcast. He is gonna hopefully be on an episode soon. But since we're doing it live, I was like, you got to come over. You have to be a guest on this. Answer these questions. Tony, I'll have you back for the closing and the question at the end because it's an interesting question. We're gonna bring it back to pop culture gaming in a minute, but I want to bring on
He's the Adam
somebody right
Warlock
now.
of the
Yeah, he's the
podcast
Adam
because we're
Warlock.
bringing him out of his cocoon
We're bringing him
chamber.
a little early out of his cocoon. We're bringing Adam Warlock over, and then I'll maybe edit this. So yeah, just hop in and I'll do a little.
What's going on?
All right, get in here. We got some things to talk about. I know you love that question.
Yes,
I know you
that
love it.
question was amazing, man.
Great question, and I wanted to give you some time to think about it because I know you're gonna have a great answer. So this is what do you want your nickname to be? What do you want it to be? Adam Warlock is perfect.
Adam Warlock is actually pretty
That is
cool.
actually perfect.
But yeah, Adam Warlock is pretty cool.
We brought you out of your cocoon early, but
it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's different for me. So
all right. So the first comic book movie that made you say this is cinema. What's your answer? We had two. Think about it. We had two great I guess Tony's wasn't that great. He's not on the mic right now, so I can say that. His answer was terrible, but
Horrendous.
horrendous. But Batman v Superman, that's one. Yours was Guardians. That's a cop out, but I'll allow it. Guardians was a great movie. So is yours Marvel, DC, it's something else?
It's hard for me, man, because it's so many good stuff that they're comic book related that I've seen. It's like, wow.
I tried to narrow it down from not just pop culture in general, but more so comic book movies. In terms of comic book movies, I'm a huge fan of comic books. You're a fan of comic books.
I am. I would say more the Spider-Man Miles Morales one. I felt like that resonated with me so many because of me.
Hold on, is that your answer?
Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Let's go.
Because I feel like, as a kid,
That's a great answer.
as a kid, I felt like that as a kid. I resonated with that character so well because that's how I felt being,
That's a great answer.
a kid by himself, a nerd, of course, because
Yeah.
because we're all nerds here. I always loved music, so the fact that he resonated with music, I was that kid who listened to had my headphones in my,
Yeah.
just listen to music all the time, and it's trying to be, smart as I could be.
Yeah.
Just man, it's just always reading comic books. So yeah, it was such a really good storyline, man. And
So Into the Spider-Verse,
yes,
the first one. I know you're excited for the second one. That comes out soon.
dude,
We
I
are going to
can't
do
wait.
something for that. But what about, you said the story, characters? I know the art style. That was,
Art style was
I think,
beautiful for
in
me.
terms of just cinema, this is an animated movie. Something, it's all, people make fun of the MCU. It's all green screen,
Yeah,
all blue
yeah.
screen. This is something literally all animated, and they managed to make it. This is cinema. This is more so true cinema. I feel like Scorsese right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wonder, did he say anything about Spider-Verse?
I don't
I
think
gotta
he
look
did.
that up. I feel like I
He
saw
might have.
Tony. You can fact check me. I feel like he said something about Guardians 3 where he thought it was cinema, but Into the Spider-Verse is definitely, it's top tier. It's a lot of people's favorite movie, favorite Spider-Man movie, everything. So
I just with the way they did the characters, like
Yeah.
especially adding all the other the different Peters and stuff like that, and how their backstories, how they died. But yeah, it's a really good movie, man. Really good movie.
now I have another question, because we opened it with this. We talked a little bit about some comic book movies, all of that. If you could erase any movie from your mind, what would it be? I want to get into gaming too, because if you could erase any game. So what would it be if you had the opportunity to erase from your memory any movie?
Any movie?
Any movie. If you could just right now erase it.
And to
from-
rewatch it?
Yes,
Ooh, any movie.
any movie.
Any movie.
I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. You're coming back.
Games is easy. Games is really easy.
We're gonna move the games. So we'll do movies. We'll do
Movies?
this with movies and games. Tony, you're next.
I remember as a kid, my parents allowed me to watch Face Off, and it was amazing movie.
Okay.
And I would say I would go with Face Off.
Okay.
Because it was amazing.
Okay.
Between Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, yeah, it was a really good.
That's an
movie.
interesting answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I really got to think, because I was thinking along a different line. But if I could pick any movie, because I was thinking comic books, but any movie,
Comic books. Oh.
any movie. That's a crazy question. I would pick the first Back to the Future. If I could pick any movie,
That's a good one.
I would.
That's a really good one.
I would erase the first Back to the Future, because that movie is timeless. It's one of the only movies I've ever watched that is completely timeless. It doesn't matter when you watch this movie, you are going to be transported back to the 80s, and then you're just going to go back to the future.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love the performances. I mean, that movie is a classic. One of my favorite movies of all time. I would love to erase my experience and my memory of Marty McFly and experience it all over again. Marty McFly is a great character. I love him. We actually talked yesterday about some characters we love, but if you could erase any character from your mind and experience it again, Or if you hate a character and you want to erase it just to never think about this character again, what would it be? That's also that's a loaded question.
That's a hard question because man, you throwing shots right now.
Yeah.
Character wise,
Character.
that I would erase just to rewatch again.
I would erase Luke Skywalker.
Really?
I would erase Luke Skywalker. And I would want to watch the movies, the original trilogy, or just anything Luke Skywalker is in again as an adult, where maybe I can look back and relate on it more so to where in the first movie, towards the beginning, he left. He went out on his own into the galaxy, and I'm wondering if I had that same journey, I could look back and relate to Luke just as much and experience that again. So I think Luke would be a good answer for that.
How about this? How about if I would love to see if Anakin actually become a Jedi.
You wouldn't know. You could erase that, and you would not know. You could watch him in order.
Yep.
I need to find somebody who has never watched Star Wars and have them watch it in order.
Exactly.
People do that on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, where they do what you said and they get in front of a TV, kind of stream them watching a movie for the first time, and they go through, like I've seen people go through Star Wars that had no idea about the twists. And it was interesting seeing people for the first time experience that. And I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. So gaming, you said it's easy. It's not for me. So if you could erase any game from your memory, what would it be?
I would say it's probably gonna be a crazy one. Um, I would say Kingdom Hearts.
I thought I kicked Tony off. What are you doing?
What? I thought I actually enjoyed, especially as a kid. Oh man, I would love
Okay,
it.
tell me about it.
What, Kingdom Hearts?
Why would you erase this? It's because it's so bad. You don't want to have a memory of Kingdom Hearts. You just want it out of your
I have a lot
mind.
of fond memories of the game. A
Yeah.
lot of.
Oh, I bet it's a good game.
I remember, grinding for, getting my level up to fight a certain character, getting the dog crap beat out of me.
Yeah, yeah.
But so in the bosses, the I'm a very emotional guy, so like a lot of the emotional aspects of the game, finding something that was lost, and the characters having such a heartbreak of trying to find their friends and all. So I
Yeah.
love that kind of stuff, man. I feed off that, so I just think it was a really good,
That's a great series. Yeah, you would want to experience those character arcs and
I would say
Go
my
through it,
second
yeah.
one would probably be Mass Effect.
because of that. Now you're giving me ideas. You're giving me ideas now. Wow. Why Mass Effect? What about it?
Man, Mass Effect, just to replay that whole game again, and just the journey, especially since that if you save a character in the first game and then they come back in the second game, just to see how that the excitement of that character, just happy to see you alive and still doing well, still being the commander. Just
Yeah.
that aspect. The cause and effect of what your actions would have caused in the second game and the first game. Like if you kill the Citadel, and or you keep them alive, that affects the game, second game, and third game, and stuff like that. So I enjoy that. So be able to relive that and experience that all again. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if I erased a game like growing up, like let's say a game, from when I was a kid, if I erased that and I experienced it again, if I would even like it.
Yeah.
So I'm worried if I pick something from my childhood and I experience it again, would I even like it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a question.
That's a question. Because we can go all day with that.
That's it.
Yeah.
See, this is the nostalgia aspect of the podcast I love. We love going back and talking about stuff, but like that with gaming and movies. So for games, I would erase. Wow, that's a tough question. Do I pick something I love? Like my favorite game ever? Because I'm worried. If I pick my favorite game ever and erase it, would it still be my favorite game ever if I play it?
Exactly.
I don't even want to answer my own
Especially at
question.
this day and time,
Yeah.
your mind has changed since then. So like, as a kid, it's like, oh, this is new, but now you experience some things in life. So would you like it again?
I'm dodging my own question very hard right now, if you can't tell. Honestly, I would probably pick It Takes Two. Because that is a more recent game where I don't know if any game will ever be able to hit me as hard as It Takes Two hit me. Have you played it?
Yes,
You beat it?
I didn't beat it,
Okay.
but I do understand what you mean.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
very
So
emotional.
this is a game that is also something that's timeless. It doesn't matter, you know, as old as I get, if I were to experience a game again, um, like It Takes Two, that I think I would still feel that same feeling that I got from it. Even I'm playing it through a second time, and I still feel it again. That same, the emotion of, um, the relationship in that game. You just got to play it. I can get into it, but that's a game where I wish I could roll the credits on that again, because when It Takes Two, whenever I got to the end and rolled the credits and my trophy popped up and it said "It Took Two," I teared up. I teared up, and I think that's one of the first games, aside from the first Last of Us, where I really got emotional with it. And that's definitely Last of Us. I think with the controls and all of that, if I went back to The Last of Us, I don't think I'd like it as much.
No, it's even hard playing it a second time. And even like same thing with Red Dead.
I was gonna say that.
Red Dead took me, man. It took everything in my body to go replay that part. I got stuck where he got sick in Red Dead 2.
Yeah,
And every time I play that, it's just like, man, I can't go any further because I already
you
experienced
know it.
all that.
You know it. Yeah,
So yeah, it's really hard, man.
that's a great question.
Life is Strange is another one.
I haven't played it, but ooh, that's a good one. I
It's
know
an
about it.
emotional roller coaster, man. Jesus, because you deal with those things as teenagers.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
I gotta play that. I think it's on PlayStation Plus right now.
It's good, man.
I'm playing that. Though that's I love talking about games. We're doing a game episode soon. All right, Mr. Warlock, thank you for coming on and having a guest appearance. You'll be back shortly for more episodes and whatnot. But it was fun. Your answers were way better than Tony's. So we're gonna get Tony back to hopefully
I'm sorry,
redeem
Tony.
himself. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tony. Come back. We're gonna wrap this thing up.
All right, guys. See
Give
ya.
me some good answers. I have no idea. Nothing is planned right now. We have no idea what's happening. So, Tony, you're back. You're back like I
Like
don't know what
Star Lord will be eventually. He'll be back.
Star-Lord Tony Quinn will return as Tony
And
Quinn.
here I am. I'm a man of my word.
The legendary Tony Quinn has returned. So, you heard the question. I gave you some time to think about it. If you could erase any movie or comic book movie, whatever you feel like, from your mind, what would it be?
Well, I'll keep it attuned to. Well, I mean, my general answer
Anything.
is because my real one's a comic book movie, but Garbage Pail Kids. Garbage, bro. Anyone listening to this podcast, find me a movie worse than Garbage Pail Kids. If I watch it and I agree that it is in fact worse, I will give you $50. I will cash app you $50. I'm serious. That movie was made with hatred, just absolute hatred and contempt for humanity.
This is bringing back repressed memories. I did actually, and I did in fact forget this movie, and you're bringing it back to my consciousness.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Dang it, I'm already screwing up my reputation. Okay, but a comic book movie.
Hold on, I'm sorry, we're interrupting this great answer for an emergency update. This movie has a 1% on Metacritic. I've never seen that before. I'm serious. It has a 1% on Metacritic.
It has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it did. Maybe it's even worse.
Okay, great answer. You did redeem yourself. I was expecting worse.
Okay, but a comic book movie I wish I could erase my memory of and re-experience for the first time would be Into the Spider-Verse, but I have a different one. I'm not just gonna pair it.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
But X-Men: Days of Future Past. That was like I was sitting there watching that movie, and that was one of the rare times I'm watching a comic book movie. And dude, in the climax, I had no idea what was gonna happen. I was on the edge of my seat, like, are they gonna make it? Are they? Oh my god!
I see
And
what you're
then
saying, yeah.
it's just like it was the first because I've always liked the X-Men movies, but I didn't think they were
That's one of the better ones,
anything special.
if not the best.
Dude, that movie it hits me hard. The scene where young Charles is talking to older Charles, and older Charles is like, "We need you to hope again," and then like younger Charles, is like having trouble finding the will to fight. My God, I'm gonna watch that scene again in like 20 or so years and just cry my eyes out. It's one of the best comic book movies of all time, in my opinion, and
It's really good. Yeah.
I think like the first time that in Guardians of the Galaxy, because they came out in the same year, and Winter Soldier too, to an extent, like where I was like, this is something special. Like this isn't. I didn't go into that movie just seeing a run of the mill comic book story.
I thought you were going to pick that for the cinematic.
I went in to that movie not expecting anything, just kind of being like whatever, and I walked out like, damn.
So we talked about our characters yesterday, and that's a great episode. I'm gonna put it up on YouTube, maybe in parts, but we talked about characters, but transitioning to gaming. If you could erase any game, I already know what it's gonna be, but if you could erase any game from your memory, what would it be, and why is it Final Fantasy VII?
Well, that new series isn't over yet, and I didn't actually play the original. I watched the cutscenes, so I can't pick that one. Even though remake is the game I would want to re-experience for the first time again, but that's just part of the story, so I can't totally.
That's a caveat. So would you give me $50 if I guess it right now?
Yeah.
Balan Wonderward. Land, whatever it's called. Balan.
I do know.
Are you serious?
I don't hate myself enough to play Balan Wonderworld, because it's so good. I don't feel like I'm worthy, No, but I'd say a game. It's a franchise that I'd want to re-experience again for the first time is the Telltale Walking Dead games. I'm gonna be a broken record. I've talked about those so many times, but like that was the first time I got an idea of what it's like to be a parent. And let me tell you something, that was not a feeling that I kind of want to erase those games from my memory, partially so I can never play them and never experience that pain, that absolute joy, but absolute pain.
You have redeemed yourself on the level of Anakin Skywalker right now. We have an emergency interruption from our live studio right now. They are. That was
thank you.
Absolutely epic answer. That was great.
No, but like
that was great.
To be just a little specific, yeah, like those because like the first game, is essentially like Last of Us. Like you're playing as a guy who has a troubled past, and he's looking after a young girl, and they develop a bond and stuff.
A lot of comparisons to that back in the day.
And I ain't gonna ruin what happens at the end of the game for people that actually, I am. Spoiler mode. He gets bit by a zombie. So,
bro, that still hurts to this day. That still hurts.
Yeah, dude. And so for the rest of the games, you play as Clementine, and then I had this I was like halfway through the last game, and I had this revelation, like, wait, no, like I've kind of become like Clementine's dad, and then if I beat this game, it'll be like my daughter, growing up and moving out of the house, and I'm never gonna see her again. And I didn't want to beat it. And then they make you think something happens that I won't spoil. And that was the most depressed I had been in a long time. And then, it turned out not to be the case. I was like really relieved. But like, I don't know, just like, I don't know, like, I don't currently like want to have kids. I don't know if I want to do in the future, but like, that was like just a really growing experience. I grew a lot playing those games. Like I learned, like to, like love somebody that much. Obviously they're not a real person, but like I just, just wish I could experience that absolute roller coaster because, not a lot of games hit me in that way. And it's like in that movie Arrival. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, where like she finds out that
This
like
is Amy
her
Adams.
daughter like her daughter dying is in the future, but she still chooses to have her like in the present.
You know what movie you need
And
to watch? The Tomorrow War.
oh, I do want to check that one
Okay,
out.
good.
But like I've always had trouble with that question. Like, if you knew that you were gonna like lose somebody or something, would you still take the opportunity? And like playing those games again, I think I kind of get it because like if I could like learn to love Clementine and those characters all over again, knowing that some of them don't make it out, and then knowing that I would have to eventually say goodbye to them, and just watch them grow up and go off and do their own thing. Would I do it again? And I think like it's one of those things like love is painful, love is hard, but like through playing these games, I learned that that pain's a part of life, and if you numb yourself to that, then you're basically dead.
I think that is a fantastic answer, and it's funny because I have an idea. I had this idea, and I will enlighten everybody. I have an idea for an episode about like a deep dive and analysis of games like It Takes Two and the Telltale Walking Dead series. And if you've either of you have played A Way Out, so games like that are very heavily, you know, geared towards relationships, whether it's friendships, significant others like spouses or heartbreak, with like the Telltale Walking Dead or other games. So I want to do an episode about that where I know I'm about to play through some of those games again just because I love them. Or we could include a game like BioShock Infinite, which I'm trying to get you to play. I just played through it. I know we all three could have a in-depth conversation about that, but I think that would be a lot of fun to have an episode like that. But that's pretty much it for this episode, whatever I'm going to call it. How you feeling now? You got anything you want to say?
I think James Gunn's about to make the best Superman movie of all time.
I love Zack Snyder, man, but you might be right. You might be right. He made the best, arguably the best DC movie in the Suicide Squad, aside from maybe a Zack Snyder movie like the Snyder Cut or something like that. But yeah, that he could do Superman justice. That's a good it's a good sign that James Gunn is in charge. Yeah, I've done a complete 180 on James Gunn. He is gonna kill it in the DCU. I can't wait for The Flash. I can't wait for Blue Beetle. We're gonna have more episodes about movies, obviously. Who knows if they'll be live? I mean, this is fun. We'll see. This is the prototype. This is an experimental video, and this podcast, I love doing experimental type videos. And in the future, we got some episodes coming up, like the original Star Wars trilogy retrospective. That's a mouthful. And going into giant episodes, I'm hoping to do episodes with multiple people where we can really just present things like what our most overrated game is, or what the worst comic book movie is, something like that. Something kind of more exciting that isn't just like a news show. I want to do some more crossover episodes, but that's it for this. I had a lot of fun doing this live. Tony, thank you for coming out. It was a lot of fun. Say your final words, and then we're gonna be out of here. And it's pizza time essentially. So
I think comic book movies are about to
bounce back.
experience a resuscitation, hopefully.
I think so too.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for it because I don't want to not be excited for these movies, but that's what I've been feeling. But then I saw Guardians 3, and I'm like, no, but I
feel things again.
I want more like that. Yeah, I'm alive after all.
I have a pulse. Rocket Raccoon is my pulse.
He finally said the thing. He said the thing. Rocket Raccoon.
He did say it. Yeah, he accepted it.
I can't believe that like him finding out he has a raccoon was part of his freaking character arc, and that just started out as a running gag.
This movie made me care about a CG character like I've never cared about a real person in my life. This has been fun. If you guys are watching, let us know what you think about it. because that's it. Who knows if we'll do this again, but hopefully we will. Thanks for watching the Senate Podcast. We're on pretty much every platform. You're most likely watching this on YouTube, because the only other one you can watch on is Spotify. And if you're on something like Spotify, thank you. Leave us a review. Also on Apple Podcasts, all of that stuff. Anyways, leave a like, comment, all that stuff. And until next time, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, and peace.